Hello everyone out there, I'm Gina and welcome to my channel Lupie Miracle. And the reason why I created this channel is because of all the autoimmune conditions that I've been through, including lupus, amongst many others, but I am a literally living, walking, breathing miracle. And I would like to share today more so about the diabetes type 1, which they even categorized me in brittle. So therefore, they put me on the Omnipod and even advanced it from the Omnipod Dash to the Omnipod 5 so that it can continuously communicate with the Dexcom, with the drip and everything. So I would like to share a little bit on how to apply that, and if you're looking into using it, changing devices, just recently got diagnosed, I would just like for this to help others out there from what I've experienced, that they could make a choice on what might work for them. But of course, I'm not a doctor. I don't have the professional license, so this is all personal experience. And I hope this helps you, and I look forward to sharing more and more testimonies so that it can help others out there dealing with their situations. I will share a little bit about the difference of being on the other Omnipod Dash and the Omnipod 5, and even the devices that were used to control them, like the pros and cons, because this was the Dash, which was, as you can see, much smaller. So I was a little disappointed when the device had to get bigger again. Now the pro, of course, is that it's in constant communication with the Dexcom, so it can give me the drip and I don't have to prick myself anywhere near as often, and I can regulate it. There are pros and cons that I can go into later also with even the menus. Some things that they didn't add to the new one, which I wish they would have included, such as your menus. The old one used to be able to look up even different restaurants and their menus, and it would calculate the carbs in there for you, or you could save certain items in the carbs, where the new one, it doesn't have that selection. And then of course, this is the Dexcom device. So all these little devices, and then one of the pros and cons there is because I happen to have an iPhone, and iPhone is not communicating, doesn't have an app yet to just work off the Omnipod. So I do still have to carry my Omnipod device with me. We're hoping that they do create an app soon, so everything can be done through the phone. But again, it is still better than having to check my blood constantly. And now we're going to go over how to either apply, or in my case, remove and replace the Dexcom G6, because my phone is now alerting me when I go into the app to replace sensor now. So on the Omnipod device, it's telling me that it's missing the CGM values because the readers are expired and not communicating. This I want to go over. Besides my phone app telling me that the Dexcom is expired, the Omnipod device is saying Dexcom issue detected, and that is because it's expired. Okay, so since we're replacing the sensor, this is the app on my phone, but of course Dexcom does have their own device that you can use. It's just recommended, from what I was told by the professionals, that you want to use one or the other. If you have more than one device on, then they seem to crisscross the information and not be able to, communicate clearly. So if you are going into your Dexcom 6 controller, you're going to hit power, and it's going to ask you to hit 1, 2, and start asking you for the information such as the month, date, if you're just starting it. So of course you pick which month and go on, so on and so forth. Okay, so the Dexcom is alerting me if I go into it that you will not receive alerts, alarms, or sensor glucose readings. Signal lost. Because again, the previous one has expired and we need to set up a new Dexcom G6. So we hit OK. Okay, so to go through the prompts, it's saying to replace, so we're going to hit OK and start a new sensor. So it's going to ask you for the codes. Either this was the original box when you first get the application for the Dexcom, and then in here I do have the new appliers, and as it's saying on there, the codes are on the device, on the strips that it's wrapped in, back here and up front. And I will pull that out in a second and scan it as it is showing as it tells you on your screen. Okay, so we're using the app in my iPhone to start a new sensor. So you're just going to hit new sensor, and it will then ask you for the information. And I'll pull one out of the box. Usually comes with a pack of 3, and it'll ask for the QR code, which is either on here or on the packaging. So enter code, and here I can use to take photo. Of course, you just want to zoom in there, and success. So we're going to hit next. So if for some reason your phone isn't capturing the QR code, then that's when it will let you enter it manually, and that's why you want those 4 digits. And now we're going to apply it onto us. Of course, we want to make sure we have everything sanitized first. Clean, and I usually use a alcohol wipe for what area. Today I'm going to put it on my stomach, but you can apply these devices to a few different spots. Right now I have it on the arm. Sometimes people put it on their thigh, leg area. And I'll take it out of here. And just take the strips off. You want to make sure you have that code too. Hold on to that code. And I will put it horizontally right about there. Just make sure you press it nice and hard. Take the safety off and push the button. Voila, the holder is now on you. Next, we'll show you how to remove this so you can actually put the device reader in the new holder. Okay, so we're basically just gonna, of course, peel this one off. And then to get it out of there, you want to just snap it back and pull it out. I prefer to still wipe it a little bit with alcohol again before applying it to the new holder. And as you see, I put it down here, so you just want to, let's see, place it inside and snap it on. So now that we just snapped it on, we're going to the app again and to start sensor. Now, it does take 2 hours to warm up, so you're not going to be able to get your readings within those 2 hours. That's when you may have to check your blood manually if you have to do a blood drip. But that's pretty much it. We'll follow up when it's completed in 2 hours and it starts reading. Okay, so now this is the process of changing the Omnipod out. This one's expired, so I'm just gonna actually just peel this one off if I can. It's a good thing the adhesive is strong, so it lasts all 3 days. So I don't usually have to always put an extra sticker on there, but they do sell them too if you need extra adhesive. As you can see, it's saying missing the CGM value because we're replacing everything as far as the Dexcom G6 reader and the Omnipod administer. So we're hitting OK, and we're going to go to pod info, view pod details, and change pod. Deactivate pod, which I just pulled off, so we can then start a new one. As you heard the beep, it signaled that one off. So we'll pull the new one out, and I'll show you how to fill it up and everything and apply the new pod. Okay, and now to get the medication, which we have to keep cold in the fridge. And my insulin that I use happens to be the Fios, which I keep in the bag. Also the previous Omnipod, so I have it dated, and I usually switch that out once I put the new Omnipod so that I have the record. And inside is the vial, medication of Fios. And I'll show you how to put this together, apply it to your Omnipod in a moment. Okay, so now we're going to the Omnipods, and I was using the Omnipod Dash, but we just changed to the Omnipod 5 because it is able to communicate directly with the Dexcom G6 and constantly communicate. So here we are. Just open it up and we'll start filling it with the insulin in a moment. I usually try to hold on to these also, which has the information, and then every time I switch it, I'll put the date on there when I applied it and keep that with my insulin. So if anything does go wrong with it, defect, then I have the model number to report it to the pharmacy or manufacturer. So we'll go ahead and pull the vial out of medication, and I like to get an alcohol wipe to not only wipe the next area that I'm going to put it on, which I'm going to put it straight across from the reader, as the previous one was on my arm, but still the same side, the right side, to where the Dexcom, because they want to have clear communication. So they say to keep it either on the same side, or say you have it on your arm, have the reader on the other arm. In this example, it'll be on this right side of my stomach for the reader, and I'll put the dispenser on the left side. So in a moment, I'll show you how to take the medication out and apply it into the Omnipod. Okay, so we make sure the vial again is wiped clean, and twist it on. It comes separate, and pull the cap off. You want to put a little bit of, pull it out a little bit, push it in the vial. Then, of course, just pull out however much is prescribed that you need. For me, I usually pull out between 140 and 150. I don't know if you can see that. And of course, you want to make sure all the bubbles do get out. So, something like play with that a little bit. Tap and such to get that out. And got all the bubbles out. Then you want to apply it again. If you're unsure, you want to make sure it's clean. It's up in the left-hand corner that you're gonna put it in there, and start pressing down to apply, and eventually you'll start hearing that beep again that it is filling up, and you keep pressing. Make sure all the insulin is out, however the dose that you need to put in there. Pull it out. And next we're going to look at the actual device to communicate, because it's going to instruct you all as far as to set up a new pod. And as I just showed you, it's putting the insulin in the device till it makes that sound, which is those little notes. You hit next. And now it's going to start communicating with the new device. And it'll tell you, okay, we've reached communication, and then you can start applying it onto your body. And the part I like about this, as far as, you start hearing the clicking, cleaning the area first with the alcohol. This just gives it the time to dry up too. So by the time this is ready, you can just apply it, press it on your body. You can hear that clicking. Seems to be there. So again, the device instructs you even how to remove the adhesives, which I'll have to set this down so I can do that. But yeah, just want to pull them off. Yeah, this is the safety device for the needle. So now that's undone, you want to put it on. It's up to you whether you want to put it this way or this way, but you do want it going horizontally, and again communicating to each other that way, versus if it was on your arm, then you would put it vertically. And just make sure it's on there secure, and then we'll go back to the device. So it'll ask you the same thing, make sure it's on there secure. We hit start. Yes, it's in place. And then again, it'll give you a little zap, start clicking a little bit, and you'll feel that little pinch. It'll click a few more times and then should communicate that it's set. So it does want you to confirm if that little pink square is showing, which it is, so we'll hit yes. And then you want to switch to the automated mode, yes. And then that sometimes takes maybe 10-15 minutes to show your reading. Right now we're also in the process of, since we changed the Dexcom G6 and all of that's trying to communicate, it may take a little bit longer, but it's all ready to go to administer your drip. And of course, when you need to apply more for your meals, you can set it in the program. So now my phone has notified me that the Dexcom G6 sensor is finished warming up. So I'm gonna go into the app, and again it says sensor warmed up and giving me my number now. So I will hit OK. And then, of course, I like to go and check with the Omnipod device. So I'll go in there. And it's also saying I'm at 215 right now. So what I want to do next is actually take a blood sample to compare it to make sure how lined up they are. And this is the usual. I actually used the old Freestyle Libre because that's what I was on before. And, you know, of course there's different blood readers, but this tends to be my preference for now. We will do protocol and wipe the area. Of course, let it air dry. Don't blow air. That'll just blow more bacteria towards what you just wiped off. I like to set mine around 4 or 5 for the needle. And we want to switch that out for a new one. That should be dry by now. Let's add some blood. So this is saying 174 versus 215. So we will go into the app again, into settings, and to calibrate, and then it'll ask for what number you got. I got the 174. Save, confirm. And so notice it changed now to 191, so it adjusted some. And there will be times, a lot of times, it may be 10, 15 off or so, like here, it's about that. And they usually say that's pretty normal. And I will say at first, when I first started it, it was even off by 50 or so points. It, like, for me personally, took a couple weeks for it to line up closer and closer, where now sometimes it's only maybe 10 points off from each other. And then if we go back into the Omnipod device, now that one's saying 207. So it's still communicating. And sometimes I also still put the information in here that I just did a blood check. So we're gonna go up to the menu and enter blood. I said 174. Save. And there we go, to line them all up. Okay, so now that we have applied everything, what do we do with all the needles and everything? So I do have a sharps container to put all the biohazard stuff in, so I will just drop those in there. And in my location, I get it from the hospital. I can return it to the same hospital. They do have a disposal area, but not all hospitals will take it back. Sometimes maybe firehouses will. So you would just have to check in your area who can take this. And if you can't get an actual sharps container certified, sometimes people have used things such as just water bottles. At least that's keeping it contained in something. Then you could dispose of it in a proper place versus just tossing it in your trash or flushing it down the toilet. So if you can, wonderful. Put it in a sharps container.